Baik, Bapak dan Ibu. Selamat siang, Bapak dan Ibu.
Siang, Ibu.
Siang, Mbak Ika.
Suara saya jelas ya?
Siang, Mbak.
Oke. Kita mulai sekarang ya, Bapak Ibu ya. Baik, Bapak dan Ibu.
Iya, Mbak Ika.
Bapak dan Ibu. Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, Rahayu. Yang terhormat para pembicara dari NetEase, yang terhormat atas Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Republik Indonesia di Cina, Bapak Yaya Sutaria, Bapak Ganevo Ginting, Widya Iswara Madya Pusdiklat Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan, dan serta para peserta pelatihan Kepemimpinan Nasional tingkat 2 Angkatan 6 tahun 2021 Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan. Senang sekali kita bisa berjumpa kembali dalam acara Visitasi Kepemimpinan Nasional tingkat 2 Angkatan 6 tahun 2021. Pada siang hari ini kita akan bersama berkunjung secara virtual ke NetEase, merupakan perusahaan teknologi internet Tiongkok yang menyediakan layanan daring yang berpusat di Cina, dan mereka itu fokus pada konten, komunitas, komunikasi, dan juga perdagangan. Baik, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a great pleasure to welcome you to the visitation of National Leadership Training, Level 2, Batch 6, Year 2021, Ministry of Education and Culture, Republic of Indonesia. We hope that you all in a good condition and maintain your good health. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the agenda in National Leadership Training Level 2 is visitation of national leadership. Today, we are very pleased that the participant of the training will visit virtually to NetEase, a leading internet technology company providing online services, including content, community communication, and commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, now our speaker from NetEase are already here with us. We have not one, not two, but 4 speakers that will present topics about NetEase. First, I would like to welcome Director of Overseas Market, Ms. Scarlett Swen. Hello, Ms. Swen.
Hi, hello.
Okay, how are you, Miss?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm well.
Okay, and our second speaker is Miss Sarah Fania Wiryarama, Manager of Indonesia. Hello, Miss Sarah. Not yet. Okay, our third speaker, we have Mr. Moyang, B2B, B2G, and Director of Overseas Market of NetEase. Hello, Mr. Moyang.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and last one, we have Mr. John Zhang. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mr. John Zhang. He is a regional distribution of Indonesia. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after the speaker present their topics, we will have a question and answer session. And Mr. Yahya is also with us today, and will give a brief also mungkin a few words about our visit.
Nggak usah Bu, cukup aja langsung ke pembicaranya Bu, udah kami jelaskan.
And participant eager to hear from. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and now first speaker, Ms. Swen, you may start the presentation, please.
Okay, I will start in 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
You can see吗？
已经开始屏幕光闪，
但是还没有看到。
可以。
能看到了。
OK。
Okay, Mrs. Swen.
Sorry. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Scarlett from NetEase Udall, and I will use a few minutes to give a brief introduction of our company, NetEase Udall, and then I will introduce my colleague, Sarah, our Indonesian colleague, to give also a brief introduction of our business in Indonesia now. Okay, we'll start. Yeah, NetEase Udao is a summary company from NetEase, and Udao founded in Beijing in 2006. And at that time, we planned to make a search engine just like Google and Baidu. But a few years later, we find it's not a good chance for us. So 2014, we entered the online education market officially. And 2 years later, we released the first app for our international users. And then on 2018, we complete our first funding and we go into the unicorn club with a valuation of 1.1 billion USD. And 2 years earlier, on 2019, we go to public on NASDAQ. For our company, there are 4 parts, which are our main business. The first part is about the learning apps. It's about this part. We have a lot of apps. And the second part is our main business. This part is all about online courses, different styles. And then the third part is smart devices. This part grows very fast. And the fourth part is our AI devices. This part is also a business to school and mainly to school. For our online classes, now we already cover all the ages from kindergarten to university students, even adult. For kindergarten students, we have classes including reading, English learning, math, art, coding. And for the student in school, we cover all the courses like math, chemistry, physics. And for university students, we have Mooc, which is, you can think about it like Chinese version Courseware. And for Mooc, this business, so we have already released international version. So Mooc will introduce this part later. This is an introduction of our intelligent hardware. Now, Translate Pen is our main product for selling, and it goes to the 3rd generation. It can translate Chinese, Japanese, Korean, English, now 4 languages. And now we are developing the new language in Southeast Asia, such as English to Indonesia, English to Vietnam, English to Malay, like that. This is other hardware we already have. Super Dictionary. Super Dictionary we can use to look up a word, and beside that, we can also use a camera to translate the whole pages. And Udao Translate King is more like a translate tool. When you go abroad for traveling, it will help a lot. This is our main learning apps, and both in China and overseas. Now our MVU already goes to. 这个会挡成数字吗？PPT 会挡成数字吗？不会。Okay, for this learning apps, our MAU already goes to over 120 million. Sorry, it has been stuck. Oh, it's okay now. In 2020, now our, let's say almost the main business is like the paid courses. And we have 2 million paid users, which 1.6 million are K-12 students, means they are grade 1 to grade 12 students. It has a very fast growth compared to last year. Our net revenue goes to 330 million USD last year. Smart devices also have a fast growth, but compared with these paid courses, is still a small part. For online education, now we all know that it's a business, they not earn a lot of money, but for us, the cash flow for us have a strong increase for the past few quarters, which is a very healthy business for us. Q4 is let's say one of the best seasons for us, one of the best quarters for us. Last quarter, Q4, we have 170 million USD for gross billings. Yep, and let's say 60% comes from the K-12 student. Yeah. And also revenue have a quick increase. Yeah, now there is a video for English version. We can have a clear introduction of our company's product.
没有声音。
你直接打开那个视频吧，因为电脑上面是视频的。
这个。现在呢？这就是原视频。
I'm sorry, Miss Wen.
Yeah,
we cannot hear the audio.
There's no voice.
你要那个就是 Share Screen 那个地方最下面左下角，它会有一个分享音频，要在那个上面也打勾才能听得到。你要重新的 share 一下。对，你要上面就是中间不是有个那个 Share Screen 吗？然后你点那个 Share Screen 打开，然后它的左下角它不是有一个
2019。
好，
现在有了。
现在有，
Youdao makes learning happen. Since its establishment in 2006, Youdao has developed into a leading intelligent learning company in China, with over 100 million average monthly active users in the first half of 2019. Through proprietary technology, we offer a comprehensive suite of learning products and services, including online knowledge tools, online courses, and interactive learning apps, and smart devices, catering to learning efficiency, content, and methods of users of all ages. Our highly synergistic product portfolio has contributed to a significant effect of economies of scale. The massive loyal user base of our online knowledge tools generates organic traffic to our online courses and other offerings with strong monetization potential. Learning efficiency, what tools to use? Youdao offers a collection of online dictionary, translation, and note-taking apps, empowered by leading technologies, dedicated to improving our students' learning efficiency. We have developed proprietary optic character recognition, neural machine translation, language data mining, and voice recognition technologies, as well as data analytics that serve as the foundation for our products and services. Thus, we can build a massive and highly engaged user base, including 51.2 million average MAU for Youdao Dictionary and 5.3 million average MAU for Youdao CloudNote, respectively, in the first half of 2019, and over 50 million downloads for U Dictionary as of the first half of 2019. Learning content, what to learn. Based on the popularity and massive user traffic of our online knowledge tools, we offer online courses for the diverse learning needs of our users. covering a wide range of age groups, subjects, learning goals, and areas of interest. Our flagship Youdao Premium Courses is focused on K-12 students, delivered through live streaming in dual-teacher large classes. We make the best use of our teaching resources and maximize the flexibility and interaction between instructors and students. We have built massive knowledge graphs depicting different knowledge points, concepts, and learning objects, thereby formulating a large quiz bank to help students understand the subject-related problems. These knowledge tools allow tracking and monitoring every student's learning progress, and teaching materials and learning plans can be customized. We also offer a variety of interactive learning apps. Students can receive instructions from a virtual teacher on mobile devices anytime and anywhere. Learning method: how to learn. According to Frost & Sullivan, Youdao is the only company in China that fully incorporates smart devices into online and offline learning experiences under a variety of application scenarios. Youdao Smart Pen automatically converts students' handwriting into data that is synced up with our systems. Students can view grading results, correct answers and explanations, and suggest exercises accordingly in almost real time. Youdao Dictionary Pen is a sleek and modern electronic translation pen with powerful Chinese-English translation capabilities, making words learning easier than ever. Youdao Pocket Translator allows you to have instant translations of multiple languages while traveling around the world. Today, for tens of millions of people, Youdao is the go-to destination for looking up a word, translating a foreign language, preparing for an exam, or picking up a new skill.
For over a decade, Youdao has developed and used technologies to provide learning content, applications, and solutions to users of all ages. As China's leading intelligent learning company, Youdao makes learning happen.
Okay, and then our Indonesian colleague will give a presentation for our product in Indonesia. Sarah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want to share the screen or?
Okay, I will share my screen.
Okay.
Just wait a minute. Or maybe we can just use your screen. Is that okay, Scarlett?
Oh, wait.
I cannot share my screen. Okay, let me start. Ya, halo, selamat siang Ibu Bapak semuanya. Mau perkenalkan diri dulu, saya Sarah, merupakan salah satu wakil dari Indonesian Market. Pada hari ini, saya mau memperjelaskan tentang jalur pertumbuhan market di luar negeri. Next. Yang pertama, NetEase Youdao di pasar luar negeri, kita sudah memiliki lebih dari 100 juta pengguna, lebih dari 100 negara. Salah satu aplikasi kita memiliki Dictionary yang merupakan aplikasi penerjemah dan juga pembelajaran bahasa Inggris. Selain itu, kita punya U-Class yang merupakan kursus online untuk mahasiswa ataupun pelajar. Berikutnya kita punya iCourse, kursus untuk orang dewasa. Dan selain itu kita juga mempunyai perangkat cerdas seperti salah satunya yang tadi sudah dijelaskan, yaitu pena penerjemah atau translation pen. Itu adalah produk utama yang mendunia dan akan ada banyak lagi produk yang sedang dikembangkan juga. Selain itu, kita sudah mendirikan kantor luar negeri kedua kita di Jakarta. Yang sebelumnya kita pernah mendirikan juga di negara lain. Nah, untuk di Jakarta ini sendiri, kita sudah memiliki tim lokal lebih dari 6 orang Indonesia yang bekerja full time dan beberapa guru profesional yang bekerja paruh waktu. Next. Sekarang saya mau menjelaskan lebih lanjut tentang U-Dictionary. U-Dictionary sendiri ini, sorry Scarlett, next slide please.
It's dark.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Untuk U-Dictionary ini sendiri, kita merupakan market nomor 1 terbesar itu di Indonesia. U-Dictionary ini merupakan kamus profesional karena Udacity sendiri udah terintegrasi dengan Kamus Oxford. Jadi untuk hasil-hasil penerjemahannya pun sudah menjadi lebih akurat. Dan juga kita memiliki beberapa ahli dalam bahasa yang sedang mengembangkan kamus kita sendiri, lebih fokusnya ke Indonesia Inggris dan sebaliknya. Selain itu, kita memiliki beberapa materi pembelajaran bahasa Inggris online secara gratis dalam bentuk video dengan guru-guru lokal yang profesional. Berikutnya, kita juga memiliki fitur offline dan versi gratis di Android untuk membantu mahasiswa, untuk membantu pelajar-pelajar yang membutuhkan. Selama pandemi, pengguna kami sudah meningkat lebih dari 10 juta pengguna. Sekarang kita memiliki lebih dari 10 juta pengguna remaja di Indonesia yang menggunakan Udacity untuk belajar ataupun untuk menerjemah. Next. Oke, di bawah ini aku mau kasih lihat pengembangan produk kelas online. I think we don't have to play the video now.
You want to play or no?
No, maybe just go to next slide.
Okay.
Oke, pada tahun 2019 awal, kita membangun atau membuat YouTube channel pertama kita untuk pembelajaran bahasa Inggris. Dan di akhir 2019, kita menambahkan kelas belajar bahasa Inggris gratis di dalam aplikasi Udacity. Pada 2020 awal, YouTube channel pembelajaran online kita di Indonesia mencapai 10.000 subscriber. Dan di akhir tahun 2020, kita meluncurkan brand kita, yaitu iCourse. Di tahun 2021 awal, kita bekerja sama dengan lebih banyak guru-guru profesional, dan seiring berjalannya waktu di 2021 ini, kita memperluas pembelajaran online juga untuk orang dewasa di Indonesia. Jadi nggak hanya basic-basic aja, tapi juga mulai masuk ke level menengah dan level advance. Kayak gitu. Maybe we can play the video, but it's just teaching English video. Nah, ini adalah salah satu contoh
Welcome back to another video with me, Keisa. Jadi untuk kali ini aku akan ngajarin kalian tentang perbedaan kata man, men, boy, male, and guy. Apa sih perbedaannya dan contoh dalam kalimatnya itu seperti apa? Jadi kalau kalian tertarik dengan pembahasan kali ini, jangan lupa untuk keep on watching. Oke, untuk yang pertama kita punya istilah boy. Nah, boy ini istilah yang digunakan untuk menyebut
It's okay.
Ya, tadi itu merupakan salah satu contoh dari video-video pembelajaran kita yang kita buat dengan guru-guru profesional yang lokal untuk dibagikan secara gratis dengan pengguna Udacity. Berikutnya, saya mau membicarakan tentang rencana untuk market di Indonesia ke depannya. Yang pertama pastinya kita ingin sekali untuk memperluas kemitraan dengan lebih banyak pekerja profesional. Dari yang mungkin dari 100 lebih ataupun sampai lebih dari 10.000 pekerja profesional ke depannya. Untuk mengembangkan lagi lebih banyak kursus online bagi mahasiswa dan mencoba pastinya ke depannya hal-hal baru nih. Salah satu contohnya sebagai fitur live streaming. Jadi guru dan murid bisa secara langsung berkomunikasi dan biar lebih enak belajarnya. Berikutnya, kursus pendidikan untuk orang dewasa. Dalam fase yang pertama, kita tetap akan berfokus kepada pembelajaran bahasa Inggris, dan di fase kedua, pendidikan kejuruan seperti coding, desain, UI, ataupun keterampilan profesional lainnya yang masih terkait dengan internet. Dan pastinya kita akan jelajahi lebih banyak lagi peluang-peluang di market ini. Nah, seiring berjalannya waktu juga, kan dengan pengguna-pengguna dari Udacity sendiri ini, mereka suka juga untuk menggunakan aplikasi kita untuk mengimprove dari skill bahasa Inggris mereka ataupun skill bahasa mereka ataupun bahasa-bahasa lainnya untuk mendapatkan pekerjaan, opportunity pekerjaan yang lebih baik. Sama halnya seperti di China, banyak orang-orang dewasa yang sudah berhasil dan mendapatkan keuntungan dengan mereka menggunakan produk-produk edukasi sendiri seperti kita. Nah, makanya ke depannya kita berencana juga untuk membuat aplikasi ataupun konten-konten dari pembelajaran ini yang sudah di-localize ataupun disesuaikan dengan materi-materi dan gaya hidup orang-orang di Indonesia. Seperti itu. Nah, yang terakhir, next slide, please. Yang terakhir, visi dan misi dari Youdao NetEase. Kita ingin menjadi merek pendidikan terkemuka di Indonesia dan mengambil lebih banyak tanggung jawab sosial. Kayak gitu aja dari saya. Terima kasih. I'm done.
Thank you, Miss Sarah and Miss Wen. And move to another speaker, Mr. Moyang.
Okay.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes, Mr. Moyang, please.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador and Education K for inviting us to share our company and our viewpoints. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mo Yang, and I'm in charge of B2B and B2G business in overseas. So today I'm going to talk about the Youdao's adult education business in China and overseas. Okay, so Youdao's higher education and vocational education business focus on two products. One is called iCourse, the other is called Chinese University Mooc. So we are going to introduce them one by one. Firstly, we're going to introduce Chinese University Mooc. So it's a product cooperated with Higher Education Press, which is under Education Ministry of China. It's launched in 2014, and until now it has become China's biggest Mooc and Spoc platforms. So as I know many of you are educational experts, so but I still want to clarify two concepts. One is Mooc, the other is Spoc. So Mooc means a massive open online course. Spoc means a small private online course. So Mooc means everyone in the public can watch the course. And Spoc means only the students and teachers in certain university or certain schools can watch the course. So Chinese University Mooc also have two business. One is a Mooc business, that is a B2C business. For the Mooc business, we have 11,000 top-rated college online course for public. We have 40 million registered users. And the course has been learned 200 million person times. That means each registered user has paid for five courses. And for the Spoc, that is B2B business, we have 1,300 universities using our systems and services. There is 95% of whole Chinese universities, like Peking universities and Fudan universities. And by the service systems we provide, they create and upload 170,000 Spoc courses and upload them on our systems. And those Spoc courses has served 40 million students and teachers by now. And the other product is iCourse. Since the Chinese University Mooc has development very well, so we decided to go overseas. So we create another product focused on overseas markets, that is iCourse. And at the beginning of the COVID-19 epidemic, the iCourse was recommended by UNESCO as a long distance learning systems. So for iCourse, we have two core products and service. One is Cloud Course. Cloud Course is our online courses, online recorded courses. The other is Cloud School. Cloud School is our online course platforms. So still we are going to introduce them one by one. Cloud Course. So for Cloud Course, we now have 500 top-rated online courses taught in English. And they will be used by like overseas universities, vocational schools, libraries, and even TV channels are using our online courses. And for our online courses, we have 7 categories. The first one is business and economics, and second is agriculture and ecology, And the third is humanity and social science. And fourth is engineering and technology. And fifth is information and technology. And sixth is basic science. And seven is medicine, epidemic prevention and control. And for those courses, they have some advantages. Firstly, they are cover most common need of all universities educations. And then it's very new, it's newly recorded and released in 2020. And third, it's selected by big data. It's the most welcome and popular course by teachers and students. The other service and products is called Cloud School. Cloud School is an online course platforms. So still it's a online course Spoke platforms. So only the certain students and teachers can use these platforms. So for Cloud School, we have 4 platform services. The first one is portal websites, and the second is operation system. Third is cloud service. Fourth is a training service, like to train teachers how to do the course production and do the teaching design and train them how to use these platforms. And for the portal website, we have 2 levels. We have national and regional levels course platforms, and we have school level course platforms. So for the national level course platforms, actually we are talking with Malaysia Education Ministry and also with Ghana Education Ministry and Nigeria Education Ministry. They want us to help them to build national levels course platforms. So actually we want to do the same national level or regional level platforms with Education Ministry of Indonesia. So for operation systems, we have 4 roles. The first one is school administrators, and the third is teacher. Second is teacher, and the third is for students, and the fourth is for national regional education administrators. So they have some different detailed functions. Maybe after this presentation, we can give you the PowerPoint so you can see the details. We can introduce the operation system for school administrators. As you can see, by the operation systems, you can see all those big data. So by all those big data, you can manage all those courses, all those students and teachers situations, all those scores and certificates. And for the operation system for teachers and students, they can use the system to create and learn online courses, and they can use this system to create and do the quiz and exam, and teachers can use it to score the exam and issue the certificate to students, and also they can use it to do the online discussion and to do the exercises and assignments. So now I'm going to show you the actual the actual platforms. 现在可以看到我的屏幕吗？
刚才可以。
北大的这个可以看到。
Peking University 是吧
？Okay.
Icons 上。
Okay, so it's online course platforms for Peking universities. As you can see, all those courses here and all those instructors and professors here. And if we choose one of the course, so it's a course to teach Chinese for beginners. So teachers can have the course announcements here, the grading criteria here, Courseware here. So for Courseware, we have videos and have some files. We have quiz and assignments here, exams here, discuss forum. If let's see one of the videos, it's like this. Okay, maybe we see it later. Okay, so for iCourse, we have a global distribution systems. In Southeast Asia, we have 什么？可以了。Okay, so for iCourse, we have a global distribution systems. In Southeast Asia, we have Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, and Myanmar. And definitely Indonesia is our most important market. So, so we have distribution systems here. Also, we have distributors in Japan and Korea in East Asia. Also, we have in Africa, we have 21 countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. In Latin America, we have Brazil and Mexico. So today, we also have honor to invite our distributor in Indonesia to share his perspective and understanding about education business in Indonesian markets with us, Mr. Chen, later. Okay, so that's my most of my points. So I hope to have further discussion with you after our presentations, and hope Youdao's product and service could benefit the education of Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyang. We get a lot of information from your presentation. Once again, thank you. Move to our last speaker, Mr. John Zhang.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, clear. Your voice is clear.
Yeah. And how about my slides?
It's also good.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thanks more for the introduction, and it's a great pleasure to join the sharing for today. So my topic is will be focusing more on the generic topic. I think all of you already have had a good overview about NetEase products and services from my other three colleagues. So the last session, we were focused a bit more on the generic issues, the global education, and how COVID has disrupted the sector, and how we can think strategically in terms of digitalization in global education sector. I will also share specific cases, best practices across other countries to provide some food for thought for all of you. So COVID is an unprecedented challenge to global education. I think by now, all of you have already felt the impact in a very tangible way, right? So I bet all of you have been super busy in dealing all the the crisis, the scenarios that is unimaginable in the past. So, but let's take a pause here and to really think about what is the big problem here with the COVID. So to summarize, the big problem that all of us trying to solve here in the global education sector, either in Indonesia, in China, in the US, or in Europe, the problem is because the COVID has forced the schools to be closed, and then students no longer have the access to internet, right? Has not the access to the schools, and at the same time, while they stay at home, they do not have the access to internet or hardware devices. Teachers also find it's very difficult to adapt to remote learning formats because this is something that they are not familiar with. Usually they teach to students in the classroom setting, but now suddenly they have to think how to convey the message, how to continue educate the kids without actually saying them. So it's pretty much like the setting that we are here. You know, I'm looking at the screen, but then the students is not in front of you. So the technology part, but also the teaching habit part is a huge challenge to the teachers. But then the third aspect is the time, resources, and intermediaries needed to set up digital infrastructure and provide a lot of good quality content, which takes time and resources, right? But also an overall system to connect all those pieces so that education can continue. So this is the big problem that is being defined. And here, if you look at the scale of the problem, it's just massive. This was a stats, right, done by UNESCO in April 2020. So just a few months after the COVID. So at the peak globally, 1.6 billion learners have been impacted by the COVID. So you can see it's about massive needs. And then we had that problem, but it's also the scale itself is a big problem because we are not talking about the school closure of one particular school. We are talking about nationwide, so many schools, K-12, universities, vocational schools, they all face the same issue. The scale is massive and that problem is huge. So I think that's the biggest challenge the regulators, the public sectors, and the school themselves, but also technology solution provider like us, we are facing, and we are actively participating to solve the problem together. So basically that was the chaotic, but also very active scenario that happens globally, like in China, right? So we've been super busy helping the education sector in the US, in China, and now gradually also globally to solve these issues. So what are the challenges there? Can I invite you to share some of your thoughts? What are the challenges faced by the students? You can just simply type in the Zoom so that people can see. Say the challenges faced by the students. Digital divide from UG. Yeah. So the digital divide, you are specifically referring to some students have better access to digital equipment, but also their readiness for digital learning, right? While some they are not ready. So those are for the student. But students, they face various challenges. It's not just about the hardware, right? It is also about access to internet. Do they have good Wi-Fi? But not just limited to that. If you think about the students, especially those students in the primary and secondary schools, K-12 students, if you think about them, do they actually have the capacity to learn by themselves? Do they have the independence and the autonomy to actually conduct those digital learning by themselves? I think that is also a huge challenge. I think about my own kids, right? So it's just almost impossible if I just leave her to learn through the tablets. The parents need to assist to accompany the children and to solve this issue. And then the next key roles, teachers. I mentioned about the teachers. For them, they have to think about always different ways to continue teaching their kids. And we're talking about very different settings. There are some teachers, they are better at the technology things, right? So they are more tech savvy, while some senior teachers, it takes much more time for them to get familiar with the system. We're talking about the learning management systems for the teachers, they need to learn. Even the Zoom that we are talking about here, how to share the screen, how to make it interactive, conduct breakout sessions, right, in the breakout rooms. I think those all require the teachers to be equipped with proper technology, and also know how to conduct courses in online setting. And basically they are teaching without an audience. So some teachers would feel even more difficult because some teachers, they just feel more comfortable to be surrounded by the student in a classroom setting. But then even like technology solution providers like NetEase, we also face challenges. Why? Because your pain points, the pain points that are faced by the teachers, by the school administrators, are not necessarily directly translated into the technical aspects of solution, right? So we need to actively engage the teachers, school administrator, government to understand their pain points, what their needs, so that to identify and come up with good solutions to solve those challenges. But there is also another very big challenges that the technology solution provider face, is that different subjects, right? Like you teach math, you teach English, or you teach science. Those are very different subjects, and those different subjects are pretty much determined by the teachers of that particular subject. So it takes a lot of time and interaction between the technology solution provider, the content production provider, and the teachers to come up with really good quality learning contents. And lastly, you can see the schools, the decision-making power is fragmented across different levels. Basically, the COVID put some school leadership in a very awkward, right, situation. Do they have enough resources to address this issue? Can their supervision, the regulators or the education bureaus would support that decision? I think a lot of new things, new scenarios, they need to sort out, given the very new circumstances that come up. And it's new to many of those school administrators. And they need to think differently and deal the situation in a completely strange settings. And if we can look at the roles, the different roles of the key stakeholders, we have the central government, right? The public servants who sit in the central government, the regional government, school leaders, and teachers. And they all play different roles in solving this big problem. For central government, what is most important? Central government is to think the high level strategy. But what do you mean by the high level strategy? The key issue is really to solve the dilemma in between limited resources and the scalabilities of a good solution. So the strategy is really about how to provide a good guidance so that schools across the nations can have a better sense of direction, know what to do, but also the central government is to select the best practices and also define the overall solution space. Because in the technology space, there are a lot of chaotic, right, solutions. We're talking about thousands of startups in different countries. They come up with different technological solutions. Which one to pick? Which one is most cost effective, right? What can actually address the particular needs of the schools and the students in particular cultural contexts. And those are all different. So central government is playing a critical role to really set up a strategy to optimize the allocation of limited resources for maximum impact. And that is also to mobilize, centralize the resources once you find out the pathway to create solutions for the frontline schools, teachers, and everybody. For regional government, is to adapt to this high-level strategy to their regional circumstances. You know, in Indonesia, there are different islands. So different islands and their situation are all different compared with Jakarta. The scenario, it's not at the same level, right? So different places, their level of digital infrastructure are quite different. In some of the islands, we are really talking about, do they actually have access to internet? Do they have the Wi-Fi? And for some villagers who live in those very remote islands, do the kids actually have the tablets, the hardware to use in order to access to online learning opportunities? So the regional government is really to adapt the high-level strategies to their regional circumstances. For some places, if they don't have the prerequisite to set up this online learning, then perhaps using the TV channels or using the radio is the best way for their regional circumstances. So that is the role of regional government to really to think about align and adopt high-level strategy into their specific circumstances. And for the school leader, is to translate those strategies into managerial actions. They need to really think about what solutions make great sense to the specific circumstances of the school. What kind of trainings and resources that we need to really equip our teachers so that they can continue deliver the educational experiences that are needed by the student. And what are the students' needs? What actual support that we need in order for the student to continue fulfill their learnings? What kind of support we need to get from the parents so that they can also play a key role in this remote learning setting? So this is what the school leaders should be thinking about. And teachers, they are rather student-centric, right? So to what extent they can continue match remote learnings to in a very personalized and individualized approach, so their students in his or her class can continue learn. I heard stories of the past few months. In some situation, the students' families just don't have access to anything. And some of the teachers, they have to use text message through the SMS to teach the kids. So you can see it's really a challenging circumstances. But those 4 key different roles, they are the most important piece, right? In terms of to come up with an integrated solution to solve this very big problem. And then it's also very important to come up with new metrics, because now we're talking about remote learning. We're talking about how to leverage technology to improve the learning outcomes. We're talking about contingency plan so that situation like COVID happen now and in the future, we can continue develop and continue deliver quality educations without disruptions. So it's also a new perspective that we need to have for the school administrators, for the public servants in the education bureaus and ministries to have a new understanding about what are the relevant of those key metrics that are relevant to remote learning. So digital infrastructure is one key aspect. We can look at the percentage of home with stable electricity. Without electricity, we can do nothing, right? We're also talking about availability of broadband, availability of mobile connectivities. Actually, in Africa, there is limited availability of broadband, but very good availabilities of mobile network in some areas. So then how to use the mobile network to enable learning through tablet and smartphone become the key. So, and the second aspect is to really look at the user's capability. The user here we're talking, including teachers and the student. So the metrics would include percentage of users with access to a basic device. I'm talking about, analogical phone, things that are really basic. Basic is something that you can still reach for this teacher to still reach this student. And percentage of users with access to smartphone, laptop, and tablets. And this is critical. If you have been watching like what happened in a relatively developed countries, right? Like here in Singapore, the ministry here, what they did during the COVID, one important piece of work is to make sure every family, every children has a tablet. So if you don't have, then the Ministry of Education will procure it for you. So those are the basic settings. Without those hardware, it's like the student can never come to the class before they put themselves physically in the classroom. Now with the COVID, they are at home. The only way to get them to continually to come to this virtual classroom is to have those basic prerequisites and tablet, a computer. We're talking about really simple things. And the Wi-Fi, right? Without Wi-Fi, they cannot access. Number of users with access to TV or radio, and this should not be neglected because I'm talking about some rural, remote areas, the villages, they don't have smartphone, they don't have Wi-Fi. So in that setting, perhaps to convert TV or radio channel into a learning media is the best way and the only option left for that geographic areas. Percentage of teachers trained on specific platform. I tell you, this is a huge challenge. Some of the teachers, they are using Zoom, right? Like in Singapore, originally many of the teachers, they were using Zoom, but it takes time to really get familiar with the different functions. But then there were some data sort of leakage. There are security issues, cyber security issues involved with this Zoom because some stranger sometimes would just hack into a Zoom conversation. So then the Ministry of Education immediately to change the learning platform into MS Team, the Microsoft Team. Then the teacher have to adapt again. I'm not even mentioning some of the schools, they actually develop their own learning platform. But those new platforms takes a lot of learning for the teachers to get familiar with and to become good at. It takes time and they need to dedicate to it. And there are digital divide and gap among the teachers themselves. If some senior teacher, it really takes much more time and effort for them to become familiar with those platforms. And we're also talking about parents able to provide children about basic tech support, right? To just set up the Zoom, to set up the MS Team, to set up the learning platform, log in. We are talking about very basic things, but parents plays a critical role in remote learning. They are basically the facilitator of education for remote learning. Without them, I'm talking about a lot of primary and secondary school students it will be very difficult for them to handle this situation. Yeah, and the education platform availability is also very important. And here we are talking talking about content ready for dissemination. This content I have to highlight here. Content is super, super important. And you cannot develop those contents when the things happen and you need it. Content takes time to develop. What is content? It's just like a math, right, subject. You need to do a lot of videos, photographing. You need to come up with a lot of online sort of instruction, online contents, writing. I'm also talking about new structure of conducting the learning when you convert the whole thing into online. And we're also talking about, in some cases, using gamification. So some interesting gaming for the student to learn. But those all take time to develop, to think. So the content ready for dissemination is just critical. The platform itself can just solve the access issue, but the content is really the key part, take time to develop. And that also determines the time and the swiftness in terms of the different governments' response during the time of COVID. I will share with you about the case in France, and you will see what I mean. It's also about the percentage of subject curriculum online. It's not just about one YouTube video. I'm talking about really structured subject curriculum. For math for grade 1, math for grade 2, 3, 4. How do you structure that? For online learning, it takes time, it takes thinking, and it takes collaboration, right? Between the teacher, the technology providers, the designers, right? So sometimes the programmers to have the proper content that falls under a very well sought after structured curriculum. And lastly, what about the user review score for the software? Are they user friendly? Is it easy for the teacher? Is it easy for the student? So those are the aspects we need to think. And the funding capacity, lastly, how much do you spend per student on those remote learning? Different government allocate different resources, but the budget is critical because we're talking about a scale, but also a very customized technology platform, which all cost money. And what is your spend per student? It's the resources that you dedicate and commit to develop these national digital capabilities for your country's remote learning, not just for now, for COVID. It's also ongoing. It's also to provide a contingency plan for the future if some other accident of similar level happen. Number of tech companies in country is also very important. I think China benefited enormously from a huge number of tech companies that are growing very fast in China. So those tech companies, including NetEase, but there are many other ones, right? Big one, listed, unlisted, private, startup, they all come together because the tech companies, they are really the solution provider. The key is to have those different tech companies to have a dialogue with whoever that are in need. I'm talking about teacher, the school administrators, the government sectors. So that kind of a conversation is important to come up with solution. But the number of tech companies in countries is also the base of capability for your countries to quickly to come up with what is needed to address this challenge. Number of nonprofit who can support. Nonprofit, why do they matter? Because nonprofit, we're talking about the charities, the foundations, they matter because they always serve the most marginal groups. We're talking about left behind children. We're talking about this hand, right? Disabled children. We're talking about minority children. We're talking about these privileged children have limited economic resources. So the nonprofit, because of their focus area, they can actually provide you a lot of insight in terms of coming up with a solution to not just address to the average student, like the, but also to not ignore the marginal group, because they usually face different circumstances that require a different approach. And lastly, number of grants available, government budgets, philanthropic budget, are you matching, right, the individual schools' investment? You have grants to support innovation so that some individual school would dare to try new technology without worrying that would be acceptable or not. We're talking about grants to provide resources, but also encourage those individual schools to try and to innovate. So I share with everyone about the challenges, right? Starting from the big problem that we are all here to solve. It's also the purpose of this webinar or this training for this afternoon. I also share about the different roles that are critical in addressing this problem. And also how we should think about technology can solve those challenges with a specific outcome in mind. That is those metrics. So we have a sense of directions, like where we should go, how should we measure the outcome. But all through the process, I share about those different elements is to really come with this summary that tech-enabled education is key. Tech-enabled education is key. What do I mean here? Tech-enabled. Tech-enabled is not to come up with something new, right? And then you just use it. This tech-enabled is not tech-created or tech alone can solve this problem. We're not talking about come up with a Facebook, like a totally new thing. It's really to think about how tech can support those different roles so that they can address those different challenges those different roles are facing. Because teachers are faced those issues that I just shared, right? So how can the technology support teacher to conduct trainings better? We share about students, the challenges they face, right, in handle those challenges while at home. And we are talking about how technologies can really assist the student to learn better, and how parents plays a role in those technology settings so that their kids will continue to be focused and dedicated to learning for maximum outcome. And it's also about really support like government sector from the national strategy aspect, how technology can help the country to address particular issue. As you probably are also, I mean, even in the case of NetEase, we assist the Ministry of Education in China to come up with this national-wide, right, the university learning platform, which Mooc has introduced in the previous presentation. So that is also to address the challenges that faced in the higher education and come up with a platform that address the needs of the government, address the needs of the university and the student. So this tech-enabled education is key. And more specifically here, how tech can support education in different settings. Here we can talk about, one most important aspect of learning, which is about synchronous learning. Synchronous learning is learning in real lifetime. It's the most common measure of learning, like in education. You think about it, in the normal days, the teacher is conducting, right, a class, and that is synchronous learning. Learning happens in the real time, and they are all physically present in the same classroom, but everything is interactive, it's real time, right? But then with the COVID, we are basically separate the teacher, separate all the students in different geographic location. So how technology can continuously enable synchronous learnings. It's just like interesting right here. I have colleagues in China, I myself in Singapore, and you all in different part of Indonesia, but we can do synchronous sort of exchange like now. So this is what the technology enables us to do. In our specific case is Zoom, right? But there are also many other virtual classrooms. And NetEase also is using that to come up with like how to teach codings. We have these synchronous learnings for teaching coding, teaching different subject courses using our synchronous learning platform. Synchronous learning platform is important because it can amplify the real life energy of the teacher and the trainers, you know, to marry at a scale. But it's very important. It's just like I do a training for all of you, but if I just share with you like a YouTube recorded version, your experience will be very different from what I'm doing right now, right? There is a sense of connectivity. It's like you watch a live event. So technology can help teachers in this sense to continue do the synchronous teaching without a physical classroom. But the teacher can still, you know, the profile and to have her or his energies to be shared with all the students to prompt them to learn. So this is very important, how the technology is enabling the teacher for synchronous teaching and enable the student for synchronous learning. And the second is asynchronous learning. Those basically are learnings that without a teacher to share in real time. Those are basically recorded courses. It's produced the content. So it's like producing a movie, basically. Once the movie is there, you can watch it anytime. You can watch it from anywhere at the pace that you want, right? But asynchronous learning it can be also interactive. You can do a gaming, you can do a simulation, you can have some cartoon, right? But basically asynchronous learning are those contents available for the students at their pace. So you look at globally, like those famous, those Mooc platform like Courseware, Khan Academy. Those are all asynchronous learning opportunities, like iCourse, which Mo has shared with you, which is used by thousands of universities. Those are the asynchronous learning opportunities which we produce a massive content across different subjects so that those university students across China, they can continuously learn those different subjects like coding, programming, chemistry, you name it. They can learn it with their own pace, but it's a really structured learning material. Artificial intelligence, those products that you have heard, Youdao English, math, reading, is really talking about leverage the capability of data and big data so that the learner can feel a bit human, feel more interactive, but actually is the algorithm behind that is come with that feeling of interactive. So it's basically a way to make the learning more intriguing without necessary to put so many human resources up front. So this is the usefulness of artificial intelligence. And tech-enabled new products. I have chat with different teachers, professors, but basically the consensus is there. After COVID, do you think education will resume back to previous? No, there will be the new norm. Everybody has begun to realize technology is not just solving the problem and repeat it, but rather it comes up with some really unique sort of offering that would lead to new products, new education experiences. Like here, if you are, there are more and more universities globally, they begin to offer online master, online undergraduate degree even, online MBAs. So this would not be possible in the past, but now, even they do the online degree, the Zoom can still, right, deliver and teach students from all over the world. And hybrid classroom learning is very interesting. What is hybrid classroom learning? So basically you have a class of, say, 100 students, but then 30 students are actually in this classroom. The rest of the 70 students, they are connected in to the classroom on a big screen from all over the world. So why does that matter? So basically it offers flexibility to those students to choose to come to the campus or not. If they really want to be on the campus, right, on the school facility, they can choose to be there. But it's also offered the flexibility for students to dial in, to learn from anywhere they want. So this hybrid class learning is also emerging, particularly in the higher education sector. And this is continuing to stay, right? Because many students, and especially in executive education, they realize, wow, how convenient and how flexible it is to have this hybrid model. And they like it, right? So following, I will just share a few specific examples across different countries, right? I mentioned about China. When the COVID happened, this disrupted higher education sector in China severely. And if you look at higher education, it's a very high fixed cost model. Why I would say so? You look at a campus, it's a lot of investment, right? Capital investment. If you look at the salary of the professors in aggregate and even individually, we are talking about very expensive personnel, right? Professors, administration staff. So higher education is a very expensive machine, especially, the better university is, the more expensive for the professorship, right? Recruitment. And you need to pay the professors' salaries, whether they teach or not. So when the COVID happened, a lot of the university was suddenly put on, on a shock, right? So they can no longer deliver the program. So they have to quickly and swiftly shift to online model. And they are willing to put into the resources. As I said, it's a very expensive, high fixed cost structure. So they need to come up with a solution to pivot soon. Otherwise, they cannot drag for long because it's just super expensive to drag for long. So NetEase come up with this small private online courses for over 1,200 universities. So those are the small private online courses. Why? Because if you think about it, campus or university are still a very individual project. Why I would say so? It's like one university would not share its learning resources easily with another university, right? Like in the case of China, if you go to Peking University, you spend a lot of effort to become one of the best in your high school so you can achieve wonderful result in the national entrance exam. And now suddenly all the courses at the Peking University become available to other university students. I'm sure those students at the Peking University, they would not agree at all. Actually, they would have a quite big issue with it. That is why when the COVID happened, all the university in China, the first thing they want is this small private online courses solution. So it is small, but it's not really small. The small is referring to campus student only. So you are delivering online learning solutions for that one particular campus, that one particular university. So small private online learning is in contrast with this massive open online learning, which is really for everybody, like the Courseware, like the Khan Academy. Basically, it's free for everybody. Everybody can use it. But for university, they want their own tailor-made for their campus only. Then you can imagine what a massive effort that NetEase need to put into in serving 1,200 universities, during the COVID, to help them come up with different courses, help them come up with different subject curriculum. But certainly, NetEase is the solution, is the technology solution provider. We are talking about so many professors, so many school admins. They also help in terms of curating their courses in digital setting. And for the professors to participate and engage to produce those quality learning contents, right? They need to become like a YouTuber. They need to record their classes, right? So in a studio, and then come up with those products that is accessible by their students across the campus. So how many courses we're talking about during the period? Is 150K courses that NetEase has developed for all those 1,200 universities that ultimately serve 14 million students all across China. As you can see, the effort is massive, but it's because of the technology and because of this very important partnership, because NetEase cannot do this alone. And those universities cannot do it alone. It is a partnership, public-private partnership. It is those universities partner with a strategic technology solution provider like NetEase, and then address their learning needs in such a swift and responsive manner. It's very important, and you can see those those projects so different. Those universities that we all serve, they come up with their campus restricted online learning portals that are acceptable only to their students, and the students can still enjoy the privilege to learn from the universities which they actually attended. But also because some courses are really good, right? The university can also choose to treat their courses at a fee. So if some of the universities, they actually one course is very popular, right? It's very high quality. Then maybe another university like Tsinghua can procure a course from Peking University. So Peking University can offer their course to Tsinghua University at a cost. So in that case, it's win-win for everybody, right? So those universities investing heavily in those digital learnings, they can also make a profit by trading their intellectual products. So it's become a very innovative solution, but it's very engaging and it's very win-win based solution. And if you look at Japan, their focus, right? I would like to mention about they aim to provide a suitable hardware setup for all the family. But their effort actually began before the COVID. So they realized the importance of the learning through ICT. So they have these national strategies to make sure every student would have one computer and a high-speed internet for schools, right? So they have this one computer per student quota, right? The goal, and also high-speed internet for everyone, all the school. So they have been doing the hardware and the Wi-Fi part for a long time. And it's just during the COVID, they rapidly speed up their process. But in a way, they pretty much ensure all the students in Japan, they actually have the computer they need and the Wi-Fi they need to access to those contents that are available for learning. So you look at Japan, they have done very well, right? In setting up the hardware aspect of infrastructure. Singapore, very interesting. This is on the left is the National University of Singapore medical school. So they use the VR to teach those nurses and the doctors in simulated scenarios how to do surgery, right? For nurses, is how to assist the doctor in doing the surgery. And you can see the technologies are really helpful. Why? Because during the COVID, there was a constraint for nurses who usually need to accompany the doctors, right? So because of the constraint, those nurses cannot easily be trained. So they come up with this innovative solution through VR, right, to address the issue. And on the right side, you can see some of the university in Singapore, they have created this digital classroom on campus so that the professor can see through the big screen all the students. It's a tech enablement that help the teacher teach at ease. Why this matters? It has a lot to do, right, with how the teacher deliver. If the teacher just teach in front of a screen, sometimes you will feel less interactive. Like what I do in front of the Zoom, I can barely feel there are people, right? I'm just talking to a screen. But in this kind of digital classroom setting, the professor is more energized. He can call the student by name. It's just a much more fun, but also more nature way of teaching for the professor. So the technology is enabling the professor to teach in a most comfortable setting, and he can continue teaching in a way that feel it is like a real classroom. And France, I mentioned about it. France had this National Center for Distance Education, and they already began to develop the contents as early as 2017. So at that time, the French government has already prepared contents like back then, which is very important because it took time to develop content. But luckily for France, right, the National Center for Distance Education is serving all the K-12 all over France. But because there were already a lot of contents available on the platform before the COVID happened, so when the COVID actually happened, is that they offer those online learning resources to all the schools in France. So once again, as I mentioned, the online learning content is critical, and it took time to prepare those contents, and you have to be ready and prepare well ahead of time. And opportunity to leap forward for Indonesia is just tremendous, right? I summarized this education rankings and expenditures in Southeast Asia for you. It's basically to illustrate the opportunities for Indonesia to leap forward by using the digital technology in the sector, in the education sector. So basically summarize the PISA scores, right? By ranking the first country is Indonesia, second is Malaysia, the third one is Philippines, fourth one is Thailand, last one is Vietnam. You can see the population size, Indonesia is the largest, yeah? And the education spending per capita, still you look at Malaysia, it's much more than Indonesia. Philippines, slightly more, but if you look at the PISA scores, I do feel like there's a great opportunities because through the digital education, digital learning, quality learning material can actually disseminate it across the countries at a scale that beyond your imagination. In a way, learning become more equal. Why? Because the quality materials can be distributed to anywhere you want, as long as the students can access to proper learning and learning equipment and Wi-Fi. So in a way, you have the opportunity to reach more of those students and help them learn better. So this is the opportunities to leap forward. And lastly, to illustrate what technology can do, I like to share a very expensive setup, but it's basically through this short video, you can see to what level technology can actually enable learning for both the teacher and the student, and creates such a wonderful learning experience that probably cannot be replicated in the real classroom setting. Let me share with you the video. Yeah, 1 second. Share sound. Yeah.
Make it as interactive as possible. I'll be using the boards a lot.
Follow Bumi. Follow.
Let's get started. How is everyone today? It is so wonderful to see you all. I assume you've all read the case. Let's start with the key decision facing this protagonist. Okay, Mai in Shanghai, you're the decision maker. What's your plan?
When I look at this launch, what I see is faulty decision making every step of the way.
Okay, now this is getting interesting.
We spent close to 800,000, which is plenty.
10.
Take 10.
Rob in Buenos Aires, what are they doing wrong?
They got the value proposition all wrong. Just because he works in one geography doesn't mean he's going to work in another.
Ready for take 4.
Color 4. All right, so here's what we want to do. Let's take a poll. Everybody open up their polling tool. First option is to stay the course. Second option is to pull and relaunch. And the third option is somewhat in between. All right, so most of you, despite the problems, think this company should stay the course. Afafa, I take it you disagree?
Well, yes, I do disagree.
Color 25.
So Sally, why does that worry you?
What it tells me is that the business lacks discipline. And every time they encounter a problem, they try to spend their way out of it.
Jeffrey in London, what about you? What's your plan?
I'd start with the product mix. I'd pull the marketing, make the necessary adjustments, and then relaunch.
Now that was a great session. See you all.
Yeah. So as you can see from the video, right? So in the best setting, how online educations can actually create a wonderful, right, experience at the level that in real class can even not to, right? But I'm sharing a very expensive setup by Harvard University. This is not for everyone. It's just to share with you so that you see the possibility what technology can do for the teacher, for the students, and for the schools. So that will be my sharing today. I think it's very important for the public sector, for the school, to have a strategic technology partners to work together and through cross-sector partnership to really address this common problem that everybody cares, and that is the key. Thank you very much for the opportunities to share with you. Yeah, so that would be my presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you to all speakers. it was a great presentation. Surely we got a lot of information from the presentation. Once again, thank you to all speakers, Ms. Scarlett, Ms. Sarah, Mr. Moyang, and Mr. John Zhang. Speakers, if you all don't mind, now we will have a question and answer session. To all participants who wants to ask question to the speakers, you may raise hand and we will call your name, or you can write down your question in the chat room and we will read the question. Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, kita sama-sama sudah mendengarkan presentasi dari 4 narasumber, Miss Scarlett, Miss Sarah, Mr. Moyang, dan Mr. John Zhang. Bapak dan Ibu, kami persilahkan untuk bertanya langsung dengan raise hand. Mungkin Pak Misbah, Pak Yogi, Bu Dian Rahmawati, Bu Mahriyuni, kami persilahkan mungkin, atau yang lain. Kami persilahkan. Raise hand aja Bapak Ibu. Nanti kami...
Sudah raise hand, Bu.
Oke. Sorry Pak Yogi. Baik, mungkin perlu saya informasikan tadi dari presentasi yang sudah dilakukan, beberapa pertanyaan yang mungkin sudah disiapkan, ada yang sudah terjawab, tapi dalam kesempatan ini silahkan yang mau langsung bertanya seperti Pak Yogi. Oke, to all speaker, this is Pak Yogi Suwarno, will ask a question or some question. Kami persilahkan. Pak Yogi, please.
Ya. Terima kasih, Bu. I have one or two questions. This might go to any speaker actually, but the first one is, regarding this COVID thing, that from business point of view, as a company, as a high-tech company, you might see this as an opportunity to create market, to ensure that the education still, can continue. And of course, for those who live in cities like where infrastructure is very good, will be okay, no problem. But for those in remote area, this is the real challenge, especially for our country where we have like geographical challenges and also the, different level of development between areas. So how this company and of course with the authority like government deal with this particular challenges. And the second one, this I'm not really focusing on the product because I'm quite aged, so I'm not really into it, but maybe this is one beyond your presentation. Like many other, technology company, where, the company filled with many young, talented, high-skilled, employees, but at the same time, you're dealing with a high turnover, where employees can, go to somewhere else with your competitor, for instance. So how do you, let's say, retain your, let's say, your best employee, or probably you have a particular strategy to do some capacity building, or to to make them stay longer, or probably hiring is more feasible for your company. And yeah, I think that's two questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Pak Yogi. Mr. John Zhang or Mr. Moyang or Miss Sarah or Miss Scarlett, would you kindly answer maybe? Thank you.
Maybe Mr. Chen, can you answer those questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Yogi, for the for these two very thought-provoking question, right? So, the first question is it's a very big question in a way, right? What if those places they are just not ready for remote learning? As you were asking these questions, out there in my mind, there were pictures of some of those small islands, right? Like in Indonesia, there probably is there is no Wi-Fi, right? Or no broadband. Yeah, they may have cell phone or fixed line phone, but that is it. But they are probably still right using radio. Some use television or not. So it's really challenging, that kind of setting. And what we can do, because it's not like a city or urban setting like in Singapore or Japan, right? Or France, as I said. There were just so much thing already being invested into this digitalization because they had a contingency plan long time before this kind of thing happened. So what can really be done? I would anchor, my questions, my answers mainly on 3 aspects. First, I think it's critical to really look at what the place actually has, and then see what we can do. I mentioned during the presentation, what if this places has no access to Wi-Fi, has no broadband, only TV and radio? Probably the national governments or the regional government can do is to get those contents ready. This is what the government can do from Jakarta or from other developed more developed areas, to have those digital content and then disseminate to those areas that don't have broadband coverage. Actually, this is what the one country in Eastern Europe does. So they convert one of their national TV channel into a 24 hours learning channel. So it's a TV channel, but what they did is that to procure, to work with the school and the other, television or media industry to come up with those videos, and then play on the TVs 24 hours. And the content is tailoring, has a really diverse coverage across different grades. So this is the best they can do, right? Because the TV channel is more accessible than the Wi-Fi or broadband. Yeah. So what if in some of the settings, they have the cell phone? I heard about those stories. It's real story. In Philippines or in Indonesia, actually those stories all happen. Some teachers, they use text message to send to the kids' parents and then instruct the parents through the text message back and forth to enable the children's learning, because this is the only thing that they have. So I feel like that is why it's so important when we talk about the digital technology as a topic. We have to really assess our level of digital infrastructure, which level we have, and then we do the best we can to develop content and distribute it according to the level of digital infrastructure that we have. But then here, the second aspect is that if you realize the shortage, right, or the disadvantage of your digital infrastructure, I think Indonesia felt it in a very painful way during the COVID, because the education sector is severely disrupted. And so because of that experience, how should we optimize resources, limited resources, for best outcome? If you look at the learning from some other developing countries, develop the mobile network is actually a better way, right, than to develop this broadband-based solution. You look at what happens in Africa. The prevalence use of smartphone is beyond the imagination. Many African people, they have the smartphone. It's also thanks to the very cheap, right, productions in China. There are many mobile producers. They can produce those smartphones at a very low cost and sell at a very cheap price. So then you can emphasize on develop those mobile network first, and then make sure those kids has some basic smartphone or tablets. I mean, those are the daily necessity. Basically, depending on your budget, you can find the very cheap tablets or smartphone out there in the market, right? So this is the second aspect. Last aspect, I think the partnership with non-governmental organizations is also key, in addition to the participation of technology partner. I mean, sometimes I have to admit the same dilemma that are faced by the technology solution provider is that we are also tending to focus more on those users who are able to pay a fee, right? In a way, those people who are in a less preferred economic situation can be ignored more, right, to a certain extent. So, but those civil society, those non-governmental organizations, they did opposites because they get those philanthropic donations, those fundings, but they work in the most difficult places, rural places, focusing on the most marginal group. So by just talking with them, I think we will be able to come up more innovative solutions that actually suit to the local circumstance. So these are the three aspects of I mean my thinking, just for your reference. And for your second question, you're talking about the very competitive, right, landscape of talents. But are you, Yuji, are you referring particular to the technology sector or education sector? Can you specify?
Talking about the human resource management within the company, where you probably have competitors and you need to retain your best employee. And as high-tech company, I assume that the turnover is really high. So how do you retain that your best employee to ensure that the business of the company can continue and grow?
Yeah. So yeah, if you ask about the technology sector specifically, right, it's a very competitive landscape. As you know, nowadays the programmers are the most expensive type of talents of all. I would say not just in China. If you look at the US, Southeast Asia, in Singapore, the fresh undergraduate who get the highest payment now, it's not those investment bankers anymore. It's not like you join Citi or Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs. They still get very highly paid. But it's those students or graduates who join the tech firm, their base salary is much higher than the average. So you can imagine the competition for fresh graduate, not to mention those very senior one, it's highly competitive. But if you are talking about best practices, how we can return those good programmers and those tech specialists, there are different ways. If I think the monetary incentive is very important. That's why all the big tech firms like NetEase, Alibaba, they all competing and offering higher salary. That is in a way why the tech talents, especially those in the managerial position, they easily get paid, right? Sometimes millions of US dollars. It's just unbelievable, right? But it's also because, right, the value that they deliver. So monetary incentive is not limited to the money, but also, for some tech startup, you're talking about stock option. So if the company get listed, then those employees will become billionaire easily, right? So if you look at some of the recent IPOs of Chinese tech startup, if you are watching some of those video sharing platform, which were listed just over the past few months, they're almost several thousands of employees. They actually get paid with tens or hundreds of millions after the company get listed. It's just beyond the imagination. So those really capable talents, they would also looking for the upside potential. So that is the monetary. On the other hand, I would see is the culture. The culture is very important. That is why Google would come up with this really flexible way of working. You can go to the gym in the office. You can have food, good food, snacks in the office. Anything that you want to drink is all there. And even their office layout, if you look at a Google, it's very nice. It's not like a cubicle, that kind of office setting. It's just very lively design, right? Design centric, and it's just a great experience to just stay there. It's feel better than staying in a coffee shop, right? And enjoy a coffee. So they are building this culture and give you real flexibility, like Netflix. If you are Netflix employees, they can take unlimited vacation days. They can take vacation anytime they want, but they just have to be conscious, right? Because you need to deliver for the company. So it's just very competitive. I mentioned about the culture building. Are you a flexible workplace? Are you encouraging flexibility? And nowadays, it's very interesting. Even work from home become a very attractive option for some of the employees, especially after COVID. They get used to work from home, and now they don't want to spend 5 days in the office anymore. So some of the company, they offer maybe 2 days or 3 days work from home. Then for those technology companies, it's also another way to retain the talent. But it's very competitive landscape. I talk about monetary, the money incentive. I talk about the culture building. I talk about really additional sort of flexibility that being offered to the employees so that they can take care of their family at the same time, right? Work more productively. So those are the different kind of options. Yeah. Mo, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I have one point to add. Another point is that we have to focus on building and developing good products and good service, because good products and good service can bring more users and more powerful income. And those more incomes will to states. So it's about the quality of our products and service. We should focus. We don't have to develop too many products. Just focus on 1 or 2 products and make them into the best ones.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnzeng and Mr. Moyang, for the comprehensive answer to Mr. Yogi question. Pak Yogi gimana? Sudah siap? Oh ya, sudah cukup maksud saya. Tadi Pak Yogi namanya jadi Yoji, Pak, dipanggilnya.
Udah biasa, Bu.
Oh gitu ya, baik Pak. Baik, Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, masih ada yang ingin bertanya? Silakan raise hand, Bapak Ibu. Mungkin bisa 1 pertanyaan lagi, karena tadi kami lihat pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang sudah disiapkan Bapak dan Ibu sudah banyak juga yang dijawab pada saat presentasi, dan juga barusan Pak Johnzeng juga sudah agak komprehensif menjawab dari pertanyaan Pak Yogi. Baik, Bapak Ibu ada lagi yang mau ditanyakan? Sudah cukup Bapak Ibu? Pak Misbah mungkin mau bertanya, Pak Misbah? Pak Budi, Pak Agus, Pak Budi Sutomo, Pak Dedi, Pak Rinaldi. Kami persilahkan. Kalau tidak ada, mungkin kami ke Pak Yaya. Pak Yaya, mungkin ada yang mau disampaikan?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much on behalf of the government of Republic Indonesia and the Embassy of the Republic Indonesia. We would like to thank you for all the speakers. Thank you very much for your coming to this event. And I do believe this is very, very important information for us. And I hope we can work together in the future, because also you have Indonesian branch, right? So this is a very, very effective discussion, presentation, and I hope we can continue our collaboration on future. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Pak Yaya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wai, Mr. Moyang.
Mr. John Zhang, Mr.
Pak Yaya,
Moyang, maybe
Mr. Yon Zhang.
one more question, Mr. John
please.
Zhang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is from me, the question,
Okay.
if you don't mind. In one online course, do you have standard for the synchronous part? How many synchronous part does it exist in one course?
Okay. Yes, let me continue to share my screen with the course so that you can understand. Because we just have a okay, as you can see, this is this is this is one course for like teaching Chinese for beginners. So this is one course, and they have 7 chapters. Even chapters have some lessons, and normally one course have like 30 to 40 lessons, and each lesson lasts for like 20 to 30 minutes. So if you can see one of these courses like this. Stuck.
Hello, welcome to Learn Chinese with me. Now can you try to say hello in Chinese? 你好, 你好. Now let's know more about each other. 你叫什么名字? 你叫什么?
Okay.
But many people would think Chinese is many people are interested in China. But many people would think Chinese is the most difficult language in the world. Have you tried learning Chinese? Perhaps you don't have the chance to find a teacher at the suitable time.
Okay, those are videos. And if you have to see those handouts and PowerPoint, you can these ways. So a course is something like this. You can watch the videos, you can watch the PowerPoints, you can do the quiz assignments, and you can do the exams, and you can do the discuss forum. Some of those functions. So actually, if investor, if you would like to learn more, I invite you, Mr. Education Atake, to visit our campus in Beijing, because you're also in Beijing, right?
Yeah,
so visit in Beijing, we can show you more detail about our course and platforms.
Okay, thank you Mr. Moyang for the answer. Baik, Bapak Ibu, sesuai dengan jadwal, mungkin kita akhiri pertemuan kita pada sore hari ini. Ladies and gentlemen, now we've come to the end of this meeting. We would like to thank to distinguished speakers that already share a lot of information regarding NetEase. It's been a great presentation. Thank you very much. We hope to see you all again in another event. Stay healthy, everyone. Miss Scarlett, Miss Sarah, Mr. Moyang, and Mr. John Zhang. Once again, thank you very much. Before we leave the room, maybe we can take picture together. Oke, Bapak dan Ibu, sebelum kita akhiri, kita bisa mengambil foto dulu ya, Bapak Ibu, dengan para narasumber. Dipersilahkan untuk menyalakan videonya. Ibu Ida. Ibu Dian sudah. Ibu Ida yang belum. Baik, kita hitung sama-sama ya. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody,
ya semuanya.
Mr. Moyang, Mr. Johnson, Miss Scarlett,
Thank you. See you.
Pak Yaya, terima kasih banyak atur
Pak Yaya,
nuhun.
terima kasih.
Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone. Stay healthy everyone.
Ibu Rika, makasih.
Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih Bu Rika, Pak Yaya. Terima kasih Bu Rika.
Sama-sama Bapak.
Thank you Mr. Moyang.
Terima kasih Pak Yaya Sutarya.
Saya kembalikan ke Mbak Kiki ya, Bapak Ibu.
Baik, Bapak Ibu, terima kasih.